Today on KSL News Now, a shocking story you'll only see right here. A man shares his first-hand account, hit by a truck and dragged several feet while confronting shoplifters at the store where he works. Plus, with just days to the start of the Utah legislative session, the state's economy and our economic challenges in full focus. We explain the summit with leaders today and their aim to help Utahns struggling with the high cost of living. And with just 21 days until the start of the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics, we're tracking our local athletes hoping to take home the gold on the world stage. We look at one speed skater's final practice at home before heading off to Europe.
Live and streaming, this is KSL News Now.
Of course, this and a lot more. Thanks for joining us on KSL News Now. I'm Brian Carlson. We'll get to all those stories here in just a minute. But I think we'd all like to take a trip to Europe with all the muck we've got in our weather right now.
Oh, yeah. We need to get out of this nasty pattern that's stagnant and allowing for the pollution to gather at the valley floor. So let's see what we've got going on the bullet board here, and that is slightly less haze. So, hey, I've got some good news for you today, this Feel Good Friday, and high pressure will return eventually. It's really not out of the region. It's just kind of moved a little bit. I do have a storm that's actually looking questionable next week. We've kind of been holding our breath on it, hoping that next Thursday, Friday, storm system would help us out, but it's actually looking a little bit weaker. So air quality right now from Cache to Utah County, unfortunately, it is going to be another gray day with air quality in the yellow to orange. So your temperatures will rise into the 30s through the lunch hour, and beyond that mark, how about a high of 42 today, Brian? Might be close to your age.
I'll take it, right? Whatever I can do to reduce the age right here. I appreciate it, Matt. All right. Happening today, the man accused of killing political activist Charlie Kirk at UVU is expected to appear in court. And there's a big motion for the court to consider. Attorneys for Tyler Robinson expected to argue to have the entire Utah County's attorney's office disqualified from the case. His defense team says the prosecutor's office has a conflict of interest because one of their attorney's children was on the UVU campus at the time of the shooting. The county attorney's office says there is no conflict. They don't dispute the family member was there, but say they didn't actually see Kirk get shot or see the shooter. Robinson's hearing is set to begin at 1 p.m. this afternoon. And then an update to a traffic alert we've tracked all morning long, this time yesterday. We've now learned it was a close call there on I-15 as the Highway Patrol now renewing their call for drivers to move over when you see flashing lights on the side of the road.
We kind of have that discussion of it's not a matter of if, it's a matter of when you're hit by a vehicle as you inevitably work on the shoulder of the highway.
Now, the Utah Highway Patrol says early yesterday morning, a driver hit a trooper's car there on I-15 there in West Bountiful while he was doing a traffic stop. His car pushed into another trooper's car, then hit a unified police car. Troopers say if you don't move over, it's a Class C misdemeanor, which can result in a fine of $750. The Utah's rapid growth now raising new questions about affordability, housing, and long-term planning. This morning, state leaders and business groups gathering in Salt Lake City for the 2026 Utah Economic and Outlook Public Policy Summit, where they're examining the state's economy and the policy choices that could shape Utah's future. News specialist Tyrese Boone live in Salt Lake City with what leaders say needs attention now. Good morning, Tyrese.
Good morning, Brian. Leaders are saying that the Utah economy remains strong, but some growth is causing some pressures. They say that their goal is to keep taxes low and to make investments into housing, transportation, and infrastructure for years to come. The Utah Chamber, the Salt Lake Chamber, and the University of Utah's Kim C. Gardner Policy Institute are hosting the 2026 Utah Economic Outlook and Public Policy Summit. The event brings together lawmakers and business leaders to review economic priorities ahead of the next legislative session. We spoke with Derek Miller, president and CEO of the Utah and Salt Lake Chambers, who says long-term planning will be key to maintaining Utah's prosperity.
We have to invest in unlocking more land to build more homes so that people 10, 15, and 20 years from now will continue to enjoy the same prosperity that we have today.
Miller says investing now can help ease housing pressure and support continued economic growth as Utah's population grows. The summit will continue throughout the midday, and there will be continuous discussions on Utah's economic outlook. Reporting live from Salt Lake City, Tyrese Spoon, KSL 5 News. Back to you, Brian.
We're all concerned about affordability. Thank you much there, Tyrese. Now, also ahead in this year's legislative session, leaders of Utah's largest teachers union are outlining their priorities. The first thing on the list, fully funding public education. The Utah Education Association asking lawmakers to put an additional $281 million toward public schools.
Public education is not just an expense. It is an investment in our communities and Utah's future.
Now, the UEA also wants lawmakers to help boost the pay of school nurses. Overall, teachers say they hope representatives listen to their classroom expertise. Also, in the upcoming legislative session, one Republican lawmaker is introducing a bill pushing for more affordable child care. Representative Jason Thompson's bill would increase the state tax credit for businesses that either offer child care or build child care facilities, allowing them to claim more of their costs. That's on top of a federal tax credit. Thompson says he hopes the proposal will help ease the burden on Utah families. Many Utahns face a lot of uncertainty this year when it comes to health care. A bill implemented last year will cut $5 billion of Medicaid spending, and about 77,000 Utahns have already lost their benefits. That number expected to grow as the funds run out. Speakers at a health conference yesterday said lawmakers need to act quickly to minimize the impact. They also encourage people to reach out to their representatives before the legislative session begins on Tuesday. Of course, KSL will be covering the session and the issues that affect all of us and our families. So stick with us both on air, online at KSL.com, here at the KSL Plus app, and on KSL News Radio. And then just into the newsroom, we have more information here on a tragic update to a story we brought you just last night. We're learning a man who was hit by a car in Sandy last night has died. Police say the man was crossing the street in a crosswalk at the time the car hit him near 10th East and 110th South. The victim went to the hospital in critical condition. The driver stayed on scene. Police say their investigation is ongoing. And then this morning, we're hearing from a man who was hit by a truck and dragged several feet after confronting thieves at the place where he works. Surveillance video from Ahmad Man's hobby store shows Mark Wilson at work behind the counter. Then a young woman appears to hold the door open. The man she's with picks up an RC car kit and then walks out. Now, his boss is prompting. You'll see that again where Wilson runs out of the store after them. That's when Wilson says running after this man is when he got hit.
I was just going to walk around the truck. I was just going to walk up and I was going to say, hey, what's going on? So that's when I just jumped up so I didn't get ran smushed between my car and his truck.
Now, the next thing he remembers is just flying down the street in Lehigh. And Wilson says then he tried to stand up.
He proceeded to take off again and run over my leg and pull me out of the truck.
Now, he's been through multiple surgeries, had several broken bones. Police arrested 21-year-old Riley Deborah Shellman and 22-year-old Gavin Drake Huss a few days later. They're facing charges of theft and failing to remain at a serious injury accident. And this morning, it appears the state may have failed to collect nearly $50 million from drug manufacturing companies. That according to a newly released audit. It found that a Medicaid software upgrade 3 years ago has been failing to apply for drug rebates, an issue discovered in 2023 and now just being addressed. The Utah State Auditor, Tina Cannon, says it's possible that $50 million has gone for good since there's an expiration date on those reimbursements. The Department of Health and Human Services says they're working on submitting those misclaims and feel confident their solutions will work moving forward. Happening now, a warning for drivers who may have stopped for gas in Mesquite, Nevada. Police say they were alerted to card skimmers on gas pumps at 2 different locations. Right now, they don't know who's behind it or when those devices were installed. They're warning drivers to take precautions when paying at the pump and asking them to keep an eye out for anything that looks suspicious or loose on the card reader. So if anyone sees something, you're asked to report it immediately to police or the store clerk. And then take a look at this. Chopper 5 giving us a bird's eye view of that thick haze and smog blanketing the valley. What seems like just, I can't remember how long, and then looking forward, don't know how long it's going to keep going. So Matt, we know we're dealing with this. How long are we dealing with it?
Well, you know what? We're going to see a little bit of improvement, but it's still there this weekend. The reason being is high pressure. It's blocking all the wind, all the storms, there's just no lift. There's no instability to the atmosphere, so everything over the state of Utah just stays put right there. Now, what we're hoping for is that this low pressure system dropping in the Midwest, bringing snow and cold to the Great Lakes, is going to help push the jet stream a little further west, because underneath that jet stream, high winds out here in the upper Midwest and Great Plains. Now, I don't think we're going to see any high winds, but we're just to the west of that. And so if the upper level jet stream can move over the state of Utah, which I think it will tonight, that might help to clear the air quality. So 42 in Salt Lake, less haze today and through the weekend, 48 in Blanding and 60 in St. George. Coming up in just a few minutes, we're going to take a look at your 7-day forecast and what's contributing to all this smog? What's within it? Break down those numbers just ahead.
Yeah, who can we blame? Thank you much there, Matt. All right. New this morning, new witness video out of Minneapolis shows what it looks like just moments where federal agents broke into a home just after they shot a Venezuelan man in the leg during an altercation Wednesday. Take a look.
Can we hold on the... Oh my God. No, they're in the house.
There's more than a dozen of them.
More than a dozen officers.
Heading in. They got guns. They got everything.
Right,
so you see that witness cell phone video. The Department of Homeland Security says after conducting the, quote, targeted traffic stop where the man resisted arrest, 2 people from what's described as a nearby apartment came out and attacked the officer with a snow shovel and a broom handle. DHS also says that's when the officer fired defensive shots, striking the original suspect in the leg. And all 3 people ran back into the building and barricaded themselves. At last check, both the officer and the suspect are in the hospital, with the 2 other people in custody. The ACLU of Minnesota now suing the Department of Homeland Security, claiming immigration agents have violated multiple U.S. citizens' Fourth Amendment rights, which protects people from unreasonable search and seizures. The lawsuit includes the alleged experiences of 3 U.S. citizens who say they were stopped by federal agents, some violently, and detained or arrested for a period of time before agents looked at their identification. A DHS spokesperson responded to the lawsuit saying the allegations are categorically false. And while President Trump continues to push for U.S. ownership over Greenland, a number of European countries now sending military personnel to the Greenland island. Troops from Finland to Norway, Sweden, the UK, the Netherlands, Germany, France, all of them involved. They will all take part in joint military exercises with Denmark. Although the number of military staff being sent is small, it's seen as a symbolic show of solidarity among NATO allies. The deployments came after the U.S. leaders met with Danish and Greenlandic officials who described talks as frank and constructive, but says a fundamental disagreement remains on the future of Greenland. And then new this morning, federal prosecutors have announced criminal charges against more than 24 people in an alleged game rigging scheme with college basketball. According to court documents, it all started in 2022 with game fixers in the Chinese Basketball Association, who would then bet on U.S. games. Prosecutors then say they expanded the scheme, allegedly recruiting players nationwide, manipulating games by paying them $10,000 to $30,000 per game to underperform. And then on the West Coast, a California casino had to be evacuated after a hoax prompted a SWAT team response. Police say someone called in claiming a person with an assault rifle and a bomb had gone into the West Park Bicycle Casino. Those inside the casino were told to leave before seeing armored cars and SWAT officers arrive. Hours later, police announced they didn't find anything and the casino was reopened. No word yet this morning on if the person who made the call will be investigated. And one family says they're choosing to remember the good times with their son who was killed while snowmobiling in Wyoming. On Sunday, Nick Bringhurst of Springville was with a friend near his family's home in Star Valley when an avalanche hit and took his life. He was 31 years old. His mother, Cindy, says that Nick was an adventurer and he loved doing anything outdoors with his wife, Lauren.
I hope people remember him for his smile, his laugh, the joy he brought everybody. He really goes the extra level on things he does.
Yeah, tough to see him go. No. A GoFundMe page has been set up to be able to help their family cover costs, and we'll cover more information on our website, as well as a link to that page at ksltv.com. Let's take a live look right now from the top of KSL Broadcast House. This is downtown Salt Lake. This is really kind of the photographic moment of the morning here. We still have the twinkling lights from overnight, the sun cropping up here behind the silhouette of our Wasatch Front Mountains. Beautiful shot right there. And I guess that's one of the few things we can get as we look towards the haze that's coming up for the afternoon here, Matt.
Yep. As that sun comes up, it'll become apparent that, yes, we still have the haze, but I think we'll see less concentrations today. Yesterday, the paragliders were absolutely sick of it, so they said, you know what, we're getting above it, and we're going to get a fresh breath of air, and they did just that. John had a Draper here at South Mountain flying over the haze. It actually makes for really nice flying when you can have those calm conditions at lower levels. Here's a look at what's within this inversion. Did you know that 13% of the pollutants out there in this inversion layer are because of local industry, refineries and factories giving off emissions? Homes, businesses doing about 39%, and automobiles, trains, trucks, cars, and aircraft, accounts for half of the gunk we're breathing in. So there you go. That's the numbers. That's exactly why UDOT says, hey, if we can, let's carpool. If we can, let's work from home and reduce the amount of emissions. Low pressure in the Midwest, cold and snow. Upper level winds at about 20,000 feet just off to our east. And I think they're going to shift right over the state of Utah as early as tonight and into tomorrow morning. The hope is that will deliver a little bit of ventilation for the state. We'll let this ride all the way into next Wednesday. Little clipper system into Cheyenne, not a direct hit. Now, Thursday was looking like a direct hit. It's now shifting to the north. Look at this. Up in Casper, Wyoming, the Yellowstone area, that's where the core of the storm's going to be, and that's unfortunate because earlier in the week, we were seeing low pressure move over the state of Utah. So I don't love it. I got to share with you, though. I'm the messenger. That's kind of what's going on down the road. 60 degrees in St. George, 49 in Loa, and 48 in Beaver. Across the Wasatch Front, well, it's going to be a little bit cooler than yesterday, and that's kind of why we think there might be a little bit of some alleviation going on with that inversion. St. George, you're going to go for 60 to 58, back to 60, ping pong around. We'll be in the upper 50s, low 60s generally. I'd just call it 60 across the board, honestly. Wasatch Front, low 40s, mid 40s. How about a Sunday at 46 with haze starting to build back? But you know what? If we have to be under the haze, we might as well have the mild temperatures that are going to be a solid 10 above the normal as we head into next week.
Silver lining to the smog. Thank you much there, Matt. Homeless advocates, they took to the Capitol yesterday to issue a warning to lawmakers about the need to address Utah's homeless problem now.
If Utah does not immediately begin making serious efforts to produce the housing and appropriate services to end homelessness, then it will soon be too late to avoid the shame of inviting the world's elite to visit Utah during the 2034 Olympic Games at a time when the total unsheltered homeless population is double what it is today.
Now, advocates, faith leaders, and some elected leaders said the focus needs to shift from building shelters to building homes that help people find stable living situations. Economic concerns and the high cost of living are just some things lawmakers have already said will be a primary focus in this year's legislative session. Utah's newest school districts officially now have names. The district covering schools in Linden, Orem, Pleasant Grove, and Vineyard is now called the Timpanogos School District. The board says surveys show the community overwhelmingly supported the name. And in the final vote, all but one board member agreed. Now, just last month, two other school districts branching off of the Alpine District were named the Lake Mountain and Aspen Peaks districts. Today, the Ogden School District employee, at least one person there, going to get a big chop and lose all his locks. That's because of a big deal he made, pledging to donate his hair if his coworkers met their food drive goal. We're told they met it and exceeded the goal, so Mark Blanchard said he would donate his hair if they donated 1,500 items to the TLC food pantry to help families in need. An OTech High student enrolled in the barbering program will get the honors of handling the scissors. Mark plans on donating his hair to Locks of Love. Love to see what he's doing. BYU researchers, they teamed up with the Loveland Living Plant Aquarium to test how much noise from visitors in the aquarium reaches the fish and the sharks inside their tanks. Researchers use specialized headphones to detect sound pressure in liquid, then convert it to electronical sounds. They determined that the noise does travel into the tanks. but the sound levels actually remain within a healthy range for the animals inside. And with a little more than 3 weeks now until the opening ceremony for the Milan Cortina Winter Olympics, local athletes are about to head overseas. The U.S. speed skating team had its final practice in Kearns yesterday before heading to Europe. There's just a little bit of what it sounded like, and the Utah Olympic Oval has seen a lot of speed throughout the year and a lot of dreams chasing Olympic gold. For Mia Manganiello, Milan will be her third Winter Olympics and her last. She announced she's retiring after these games. Milan will be Emery Lehman's fourth Olympics, and he too is retiring after these games and hoping to go out on top.
Gold is the ultimate goal, but I also think we've also accomplished a lot that we could come back with our heads held high, but we definitely want to go. Our plan is to go there and we want to win.
That's a good plan. And while the team is looking ahead to competition, they're also looking back at all the years they spent together at the Utah Olympic Oval.
The last practice here with Emery as a unit, so it's definitely a little bittersweet.
Yeah, it becomes an end of an era. Now, the team has one more competition in Germany, and then it's on to Milan for the Olympics. Of course, KSL will be there as well. Dee Dee Wimmer, along with Matt Gephardt, Mike Anderson, Sam Farnsworth, all following our local Olympics to Italy. Be sure to be there for our KSL exclusive Olympic coverage. It starts with the opening ceremonies on February 6th. And as you start to see it, it becomes more of a reality here, Matt. The Olympics are just so many days away.
It's coming up fast. And aren't we glad we're not having the Olympics here this year? Because the snow is bad, the air quality's bad. Welcome to Utah, where we get the inversions when the storms aren't churning. And you can see that gray blanket sitting over the valley. Good mucky morning, Salt Lake City. I got 113 on the AQI for West Valley on that west end of Salt Lake Valley. That's where the worst air usually does hang out. Brigham City, Layton, and West Valley, other portions of West Valley, doing a little bit better there in the moderate. Currently 22 in Lehigh, the cold spot, it's Heber, 16 degrees. The Umatah Basin doing some 20s. They're also under inversion. They just don't have as much pollution trapped underneath. I've got 42 in sunshine today. It'll be filtered sunshine because that haze layer still there, but I think less haze is expected Saturday and Sunday. Temperatures rising just a hair to 46 by Sunday afternoon.
Even if it's just a hair, we'll take it. Less haze is better haze. All right, Utah State University is preparing for Martin Luther King Day by offering students several service opportunities. The school had a community engagement fair to get students both informed and excited about ways they can help the community. It's all leading up to the National Day of Service.
It's an opportunity to engage, celebrate, educate, and learn with and from each other.
Now, organizers say students can sign up for several service projects this weekend on the Aggie Pulse website. They say rather than viewing MLK Day as a day off, it should be a day on of volunteering and helping others. A good opportunity there for all those Aggies. Thanks for joining us on KSL News Now. We'll leave you with a look outside here from KSL Broadcast House. Great day shaping up for us on this Friday, and a good-looking shot of downtown Salt Lake to boot. Enjoy the weekend, everybody. We'll see you back here on Monday.